everyone and happy Children's Day. My name is Shraddha and I am bringing to you today a story from my own childhood. It starts like this. Once upon a time, a very long time ago, about 40 years ago, when I was a child of about 9 years old, I was very fascinated by books written by Enid Blyton. You know the series, Famous Five, Secret Seven, The Five Find Outers. But I was especially enthralled by all her stories about boarding schools. Now, I was living with my parents, happily going to school. But I had a dream. I wanted to live life like those girls in the books at boarding schools, the St. Clair's and the Mallory Tower series. They had such an exciting life. They used to have midnight food parties. Enemies became friends. They used to play lacrosse and have, bonbons. And it was such an exciting life altogether. They used to fight. They used to play. They used to make up. It just seemed like it was so much more exciting than my life. So I had a dream. I had a dream that I would go and live in such a boarding school. And as you know it, as life would have it, I had to go to boarding school one day, because there were some health issues in the family and my mother had to go and live with my father in Africa and I had to be left back in India. And there was no one I could stay with in Bombay. So I was shipped off to Panchgani to a boarding school called Kimmins High School. I was super excited. Finally, my dream was going to come true. And I was happily packing my bag, helping my mother put everything together, getting my tuck box ready, big aluminum can with all snacks in it and everything, embroidering my name on things so things won't get lost. And Panchgani was a cold town. So for the first time, this Mumbai girl, had to buy a cardigan and woolly socks and gloves. And it was such an exciting time just shopping for boarding school. And finally that day came and I was sent off to Panchgani. My dream came true. But reality was a little bit different than what was said in Enid Blyton's books. I was lonely. I missed my parents. I had no friends in the beginning because they were all strangers. I was in the 6th standard and for the first time I was living away from my parents, 9 years old. I had to eat whatever they provided. I had to be very disciplined about waking up in time. You wouldn't believe the lines for the bathroom. They were shared bathrooms. And all of the girls used to wake up in time and stand in a big line waiting to go to the bathroom. So if you didn't wake up early, too bad. You'd be really late for school. So over days and weeks and months, I got used to the general life at a boarding school and I started enjoying myself a little bit too. But there was one thing that I just could not get used to. And it was just so hard. It happened every single morning and I had to battle with it. And there was no way around it that I could see. And do you know what that thing was? That was breakfast time. At breakfast time at Kimmins, day in and day out and week after week and month after month, there was a standard item on the breakfast menu, and that was porridge. And every girl, every student had to compulsorily eat porridge. Although I'd read about porridge in Enid Blyton books, it was like a warm, gooey, lovely comfort food kind of breakfast. I really didn't like porridge when it came down to actually eating porridge. I just hated it. And day in and day out, I had to force in bite after bite after bite. Until one day I was just so frustrated, I decided I am not going to eat any more porridge for breakfast. I'll have milk, I'll have fruits, I'll have bread, but no porridge. And I walked up to our warden. We'll call her Mrs. L. I walked up to Mrs. L and gathered all my courage. Because, I was just a little girl and I had just started school, so I didn't really know her very well. But I knew that she was very strict. In fact, her pet name was Dragon amongst the girls. So I walked up to my own personal dragon, Mrs. L, and said, "Ma'am, I just have a request." And she said, "Yes, what is it?" I said, "I really can't eat porridge anymore. Please excuse me from eating porridge." And Mrs. L was shocked. Nobody had come up to her with such a request before. And she saw that I was very determined, but she didn't want to allow me to eat porridge. So she came up with the next best thing. She said, well, child, okay, if you don't want to eat porridge, I will allow you to not eat porridge as long as you get a note from the principal, Miss Inayat. Oh my goodness. If Mrs. L was dragon, Miss Inayat to me was head dragon. She was the strictest person I knew on earth, and she was so stately and so, far out there. I had never even spoken to her except at the time of admission, and at that time she had been pretty intimidating. And I was like, speak to Miss Inayat for breaking the rules and not eating porridge? How could I possibly do that? But then eat porridge every day, speak to Miss Inayat, eat porridge. And I was balancing these two things in my mind. I was like, I just can't eat another bite of porridge. I have to go and talk to Miss Inayat. So I don't know how the words came out of my mouth, but I said, okay, Mrs. L. And I ran to the office, away from my dorm, all the way to the office, huffing and puffing. I reached outside the office and I waited for just like half a minute to catch my breath. And before I could lose all my courage, I went and knocked on the door. Enter, came the command. And I entered. And what do I see? Miss Inayat was just finishing her own breakfast. I walked up slowly to her. I said, good morning, ma'am. I said, yes, what is it so early in the morning? And for a second, I fell silent. Speak up, child. Speak up quickly. I don't have all the time in the world. Speak. What is it that you need? I said, ma'am, I have a request. Yes, what is it? I can't eat porridge anymore. Please excuse me from eating porridge. The words just tumbled out of my mouth. And Miss Inayat gave me a very quizzical look and said, but why? Porridge is very good for you. Why don't you want to eat porridge? I hate it. I just yelled out. I just hate it. I cannot have another bite. I would throw up if I had to eat another bite. And Miss Inayat, I saw her steal a quick glance at her breakfast tray, a quick glance at the bowl of porridge that was on it, left untouched. And she looked up very quickly, and the corners of her mouth were kind of being tugged into a smile, and she was fighting not to smile. And she controlled herself, and she said, okay, if you feel so strongly about it, I will allow you to not eat porridge, but only for this semester, only this term, okay? From next term, you must eat your porridge, all right? Okay, ma'am. Next semester dekha jayega. I was so happy. I had won the battle of breakfast, and I rushed back with that note, brandishing that note in my hand, and I handed it over to Mrs. L, and Mrs. L was in even more shock, saying, she actually went and spoke to the principal about not eating porridge for breakfast. She was pretty shocked. But you know what? I had earned a lot of respect amongst those girls at boarding school, and I ended up making a lot of friends after that, because I was the girl who had spoken to the dragon and actually gotten permission from the head dragon to get my own way. And that was a little nugget of a story from my own childhood. I hope you enjoyed it. Happy Children's Day, everybody. And remember, if you really feel strongly about something, you have to speak up for yourself. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.